In 2014, an order was received by PSA to grade a number of vintage baseball cards between 1966 and 1969, cards that were nearly 50 years old. The results of the submission were stunning, by anyone's standards. 27 of the cards in the order got sequential certification numbers. Of those 27, the lowest grade in the order was a PSA 8.5, and that was only for 2 of the cards. 14 of the cards received grades of Mint 9. The other 11 cards were given PSA's highest grade, Gem Mint 10. But wait, of those 11, 7 of the cards had pops of 3 or less, and 2 of the cards got the ultimate vintage grade, Gem Mint 10, Pop 1 of 1. Grading results like this are beyond belief. For example, about 50% of the 21 1966 and 1967 cards in the order came back PSA 10, yet less than 1% of all 66 and 67 cards ever submitted to PSA got that grade. So how do we explain it? We have to look at who submitted the order, a loose organization of people with names like Card Buyer and Orange County Sports Investments. This is Card Buyer. Until very recently, Card Buyer used to run full-page ads in PSA's monthly magazine, claiming to be a private collector, not a dealer, looking to buy your cards. On their website, they even mention collecting cards with their 9-year-old son. The person behind this website and ad is Katz. Katz seems to have a close connection to PSA. In 2015, he was inducted into PSA's Registry Hall of Fame for his hockey card collection. Here's a 2016 interview he did with their SMR magazine about his collection. Oh, and here's a picture of Rich Katz on the left. You might recognize the other guy, Joe Orlando, the CEO of Collectors Universe, PSA's parent company. I guess they know each other. Orange County Sports Investments started in 2008, so they've been at this a long time. Here's a 2009 promotional piece in PSA's Sports Market Research magazine. The person who started OSCI was Jonathan Miller, and there have been a couple other people involved, including Scott Maxwell and Nate Johnson. Not much is known about Jonathan Miller or Nate Johnson, but Maxwell used to be employed by PSA as a card grader, so he's very familiar with PSA's procedures, standards, and size tolerances. At some point, Card Buyer and OCSI began working together. Cards that were purchased on Card Buyer's eBay account have turned up as trimmed and then sold by accounts used by OCSI. This relationship has been conclusively proven on the Blowout card forum by user 3124508. There's a link below so you can see the evidence for yourself. Over the years, Card Buyer and OCSI have operated under a number of different names. Primarily using ComC and PWCC through eBay, these accounts have sold a large volume of sports cards to collectors. A significant number of cards linked back to these accounts have been proven to be trimmed or altered, including some in the 27-card PSA order referenced before. This operation not only has close personal ties to PSA, they are literally located in PSA's backyard. Their Orange County Sports Investment Office is only 15 miles away from PSA's headquarters, allowing for easy means of dropping off submissions in person. The exact details of who does what in the organization are not completely clear. It's not known with certainty who is bankrolling the operation, who does the trimming, and who does the selling. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to refer to them collectively as Card Buyer, since that is the origin of most of these altered cards. Let's look at Card Buyer's impact on the vintage baseball card market. Corndog on Blowout has done a meticulous job outing graded cards that Card Buyer bought on eBay, cracked out of their cases, altered them, and then resubmitted to PSA, where they got higher grades. If you're new to the trimming scandal, you may be wondering how we can be sure that these are the same cards. The online detectives on Blowout are able to look at before and after scans of the cards and can discern unique and identifiable marks in the cardstock that are like fingerprints. Here you can see where the yellow circles highlight these marks, showing that these are indeed the same cards. The last I checked, there were well over 100 cards exposed as trimmed by Card Buyer, and more are being brought to light daily. This video shows just a sample of the damage being done. Here are a couple of cards trimmed from a PSA 8 to a PSA 10. The red boxes highlight where trimming was done. Here's some cards that got an even bigger bump in grades from PSA. This 64 Koufax went from a 7.5 to a 10 and saw its value climb by nearly $15,000. Here are 2 Jim Palmer cards that got a 3-bump grade through trimming, from 7s to 10s. This 68 Palmer became a 1 of 20 PSA 10. This 69 Palmer went from a 7 to a 1 of 11 PSA 10. Here are two cards that make me wonder how complicit PSA is with Card Buyer. At one time, PSA looked at these cards and gave them an 8. Then they were both purchased by Card Buyer and resubmitted. This time, PSA gave them both 10s. What makes these so unusual is that there is no discernible evidence that either of these cards were trimmed. Look at this Maze card. The registration on the red is off. Should that have ever gotten a 10? Those of you who resubmit cards to PSA, how likely would it be for you to get a full 2-grade bump to a 10, like these, just for a simple crack and resubmit? What I think sets Card Buyer apart from the other card trimmers is their impact on the low-pop PSA 10 cards. This is particularly true for commons, favored by collectors on PSA's set registry. Here are some examples from just 1 year, 1965. These first two commons went from a PSA 8 to low-pop PSA 10s through trimming. This is a 1965 Luis Tiant rookie card that went from an 8 to a 1 of 4 PSA 10. Here's the Tony Cloninger that went from an 8 to a 1 of 3 PSA 10. And finally, a Brooks Robinson that went from an 8 to a 1 of 6 PSA 10 and made Card Buyer almost $5,000. Here are some other random low-pop cards uncovered by Corndog. Card Buyer somehow got this 1961 common from an 8 to a 1 of 2 PSA 10, even with what seems like a print defect in the green section. Here's another 1 of 2 card that was trimmed. Now we are getting down to a couple of cards that never have or should have existed before. Cards that are 1 of 1 PSA Gem Mint 10s, literally manufactured by Card Buyer. Notice a large gap between the left sides of these cards and inner part of the slabs. I call these maraca cards for how the cards shake around in their holders. These maraca cards are at the heart of the problem for collectors today. From working at PSA, Scott Maxwell knows the tolerances that PSA allows in the size variations of cards. Whether it's technical knowledge or a close connection to PSA, Card Buyer is apparently able to trim cards down to a tolerance that allows PSA to give these maraca cards a high grade, even with such obvious gaps in how the cards fit in the slabs. And that's a central problem for collectors. Without doing a detailed forensic analysis, we can't tell whether the cards we buy or already own are authentic or altered. It's like Card Buyer unleashed a cancer into our hobby. If you have a card shown in this video, reach out to the seller for a refund. For the rest of us, the FBI is still actively investigating this type of fraud in the hobby. I know it's been dragging on for months, but have faith. The FBI is very thorough in building winnable cases to prosecute, and they are going to have the last word on crimes that were committed. Many thanks to the guys from Blowout for their work exposing this. I'm curious what you think. Does this video impact your feelings about PSA or change your buying behavior with vintage cards? Let me know in the comments below. If you appreciate these kinds of videos, let me know. Thanks for watching.